What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Sean Gary, National Youth Speaker and author. Hey, welcome back. This is another episode. Basically, what I'm doing, this is for educators, youth advocates, principals, teachers, coaches, pastors, youth pastors, anybody that's working with youth. What I'm doing is basically going through a book. I was going to go chapter by chapter, but this particular book, The Essential 55 by Ron Clark, it's a picture of it right there. Boom, boom, boom. As I mentioned in the last episode when we started, this is basically 55 like tips, tricks, things he's doing in his classroom, kind of similar to the Win and Play podcast that I have. But this particular individual has 55 things that he does. And Ron Clark, for those that know, he's a very popular guy. You can Google him. He's done a ton for the education system and for youth all over the country. So shout outs to Ron Clark. I don't know him personally, but the information that he has here is pretty good. So anyway, let's get back into it. We're on rule 2 and 3. So let's go back to, we did 1 and 2. So 3 and 4 are the ones we're on. We did 1 and 2 last time. So rule 3 says, if someone in the class wins a game or does something well, we will congratulate that person. Claps should be at least 3 seconds in length with the full part of both hands meeting in a manner that will give the appropriate clap volume. I know stating it that way makes me sound like a nut, but the kids love it. And so, yeah, I was like, wow, he's giving the details on how to clap. I took a couple notes in the chapter, a couple nuggets that I thought was worth discussing. I underlined this section here. Anytime people are given praise and rewarded for their efforts, they are going to do a better job. So as a coach of a basketball team or youth pastor or teacher in your classroom, obviously, it is something I agree with here. Make sure that you are giving the reward, like verbally. It's not always a physical thing you have to do. You don't have to spend money every time and buy something, stickers, gift cards, like whatever it is you decide to give out. You don't have to always do something like that, but being able to verbally express your appreciation and shouting that student out, shouting that young person out, whatever it is that they did, highlighting that for them, because you don't understand. Sometimes we don't get the appreciation that we might want, but being able to share with that young person, like, man, you did a great job, man. I love how you did, and be specific. Tell them exactly what it was that they did, so that in their mind they'll remember, like, oh man, if I do this again, since this is what got their attention or his or her attention, this is what something that they responded this way. Oh, okay, I'll keep doing that then. And so it's like a positive affirmation, like you're telling them that something that they did that you want to reiterate to them, do this again, right? Without telling them do it again, you just tell them good job. Anyway, so another one I had put in here, sometimes it may happen after a good comment. Let me see, what was this one? Then I give the class examples of times when it would. So he was just talking about how he sets his classroom up to do that at the beginning of the year, to be positive, to accept each other, to clap for each other, to love on each other, verbally encouraging each other, things like that. So he was saying here, also, if someone has a low score, we should still clap if that score shows improvement. So I agree with that too. And again, that's not just an in-classroom type thing. Whatever it is you're working with that youth on, that's something they came to you to talk about, you guys talked about, and you're trying to improve and help that young person do better in this area or whatever. Like, however much you see them improving is worth, celebrating. So they may not have knocked it out of the park. Like, oh man, we're trying to go from here. I'm trying to help you to get here. They may not be there yet, but if they've come further than they were, it's still worthy of being able to congratulate them and be excited for them. So I like that comment there. And the last one I had, as one teacher in a classroom that contained 37 students, wow, it was near impossible to give all of the students the attention and praise they deserve. Makes sense. It made it a lot easier when I had a classroom of students who were constantly looking to applaud each other's achievements. So just real quick on that, I just felt like, first of all, 37 students is a lot in one classroom for him. But I agree. I mean, it's easier to create that culture where we're all loving each other, we're all celebrating each other, versus everyone's just waiting for me or you, the coach, you, the youth pastor, you, the teacher, the principal, the parent. If you have multiple children, or if your schedule is busy and you're working multiple jobs, you may not have as much time to observe everything that that student, that young person is doing. So it's nice to hire or lock arms, recruit, if you will, other people. It could be siblings, it could be classmates, it could be teammates, it could be anybody, and creating that environment and that culture for everybody where we all, show love to each other. So I thought that was really cool. Then rule 4, and then we'll be up out of here on this one. So rule 4: during discussions, respect respect the other students' comments, opinions, and ideas. When possible, make statements like, I agree with John, and I also feel that ... or I disagree with Sarah. She made a good point, but I feel that ... or I think Victor made an excellent observation and it made me realize ... And so I underlined here, that was the rule, his fourth rule. I put on here, too often we disregard the comments of others and don't set the type of climate that will allow people to speak freely and voice their thoughts and opinions. So like just with my children, sometimes I even have to catch myself because I'll be quick to want to, not hear them out because they didn't do what I told them to do, or, I feel like they're trying to get out of doing something if I told them to do something. And sometimes I have to just slow down and say, listen, what is it? What did you have to say? Like, what were they trying to say? Let them speak and say what they wanted to say, because every now and then, it might be something legit, a reason why they didn't do it. So I try to tell my children I'm not perfect, but I want them to have a space where they can come speak to me. And I tell them sometimes it's not going to be speak to me in that moment, but come back later. And this leads me to think of, I was sharing with a few students about how they should learn to survive the moment. And I mean, there could be a book on this, there could be a whole conference on this, it could be a bunch on this, but surviving the moment, right? How many of us, period, in the heat of a situation, we want to defend ourselves, right? Like, oh, I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? And we're quick to lash out. An example could be in a cafeteria where it's supposed to be quiet. Our classroom is quiet. It's like, hey guys, no talking, level 0, whatever the terminology is. And somebody is talking, or you hear sound, or the teacher hears a sound, or whoever, and they're calling a student out like, hey, you guys stop talking. And I'm using this as an example, right? Painting a picture. And the student I wasn't talking, and I was. And so I was sharing with the student, I said, listen, you got to survive the moment. You got to survive that moment, survive the situation, because you may or may not have been talking, but you arguing is only making it worse, right? And so I share with them that it's better to just say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Listen in the moment. Do what the teacher is asking. Do what that authority, that adult is asking you to do. And then you can come back later and be able to discuss it. Talk about it. Hey, Miss Jones, dad, mom, auntie, coach, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about it because whatever that thing was, I really didn't do it. Or this is why I did it. Whatever that case may be, you have the level of respect from that person to come back later and say, hey, listen, I did exactly what you asked me to do. In the moment, I get it. I was just trying to listen to you and be obedient. But I did want to talk to you about it. And this is later when that situation isn't hot anymore. Survive the situation, right? And so I was just sharing that with students, like, stop capping back, trying to run your mouth, just listen, do what you're asked to do in that moment. And then later you can come back, live to fight another day. And just to piggyback on that, there's a lot of our African-American youth or men, and I'm sure there's plenty other races, plenty other people who have been murdered, have been locked up, have been in fights, have been shot at, have been all kinds of things because we haven't taught ourselves how to survive the situation. Survive the situation. So when it's hot, now may not be the time to fight. Now's the time to think. How do I survive this moment? I don't like what's happening to me. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. But now is not the time for me to voice that. And so later I can come back. I can do some research. I can get some of the homies. I can get some recruits. I can get some more education, some more information to learn what exactly happened, discuss it with some people, and then get some feedback, and then go to the right people to say, hey, this is an injustice. This is something that happened. This is something that, was not okay. How do we make sure it don't happen again? But then it's a safer, hopefully, environment. Then it's not in the heat of the situation. The person who was making the call, making the choices, the decisions, they may be cooled off and chill at that moment. Oh, you know what, man, my bad. I'm sorry. I just saw it was just so many people talking, so much going on. Maybe it was an officer. I was afraid, or I was scared. I was, it was dark and I couldn't really see who was in the car. But I'm grateful that you listened and you did what I was asking you to do. And because you listened to them, because you took that extra minute to think and do what they were asking you to do, it earns the respect of them later to listen to what you have to say. When you're like, listen, man, I just want to say, I ain't do it. I ain't do it. I ain't even do nothing. All right. So that was a lot to say, but I think that was all good. But this one says, for this to happen, I found it was necessary to teach the children step by step how to tell each other that they agree or disagree with the other's comments in a respectful and supportive way. Oh my gosh, this is good. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about briefly, but yeah. But being able to teach ourselves even how to communicate, teach ourselves how to respectfully decline, how to disagree respectfully. So, you know what? Hey, man, I appreciate that. I just don't see it that way. I didn't see it that way. Not perfect, but I disagree. And I think things went a little bit different than the way you painted the picture, whatever it is, but being able to have a conversation, dialogue about it in a way where just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I hate you. Doesn't mean that I have to throw shade. Doesn't mean I gotta, call, oh, Cap, that's Cap. Like, no, like, let me listen to what you have to say. And let me be able to articulate my own thoughts to share with you. I either agree with you or I don't. But either way, I appreciate you sharing how you felt in that moment. We don't get to a place where that just is natural for us. We are typically, I believe, my opinion is, we're typically in a space where we're defending ourselves, and very, very quickly. So how do we teach each other? How do we teach ourselves? Stop trying so quickly to defend yourself. Listen. Be okay to say, you know what? Let me hear them out. Maybe they're not saying I'm guilty of something. Maybe I was guilty of something, right? But how do I get better if I don't even listen? I got to be able to listen to hear what they have to say. And then I can say, you know what? I respectfully decline. I totally appreciate you sharing, but I disagree a little bit. Or you know what? You might be right a little bit in there. I might have some things I need to work on. And if I wasn't able to listen to you, I never would have known that I needed to work on that. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. So let's grow together, right? So, hey, man, that's all I got today. This has been episode 2 of the Essential 55. Is the book we're going through by Ron Clark. And this is that Thoughtful Thursday. So get out there, help these young people, grow these young people so that they can all live to see a better day, a brighter day, and be more successful. And then together we win, right? We win, baby. Let's go. All right, it's your boy. I'm Sean Gary, and I'm out. Peace.